Imagine a life you've only dared to touch in daydreams. A version of you that feels so distant it almost aches. The version who wakes up early, not because they have to, but because their days feel worth rising for. The version who speaks with clarity, moves with confidence, creates with urgency, and lives with meaning. Not just money, not just fame, but a life that feels aligned, deeply, purposefully, unmistakably yours. Now imagine someone told you that this life, this exact life, was guaranteed. But on one condition, you must first endure 30 failures, not minor setbacks, not little inconveniences, but soul-rattling, confidence-shaking, reality-distorting failures. The kind that make you question everything. The kind that make you cry on the bathroom floor at 2 a.m. The kind that isolate you, embarrass you, humble you, and yet they are the path. Not a detour, not punishment, but part of the price you pay to cross the threshold. So let me ask you again, if you were 30 failures away from the life of your dreams, how fast would you want to fail? Would you still delay that conversation? Would you still wait for the perfect idea? Would you still polish the plan, rehearse the pitch, tweak the design, reread the email for the seventh time, or would you run toward it? Would you throw yourself into the storm, not because you love the pain, but because on the other side of the storm, the sun is finally rising for you? We don't fear failure as much as we claim. What we fear truly is what failure reveals. It strips the mask. It exposes the cracks. It interrupts the illusion that maybe, just maybe, we're secretly extraordinary. If only we try. So we don't try. We stall. We hide inside the fortress of preparation, of research, of I'm just not ready yet. But make no mistake, procrastination is not a scheduling issue. It is an identity crisis. Because deep down, if you knew, truly knew, that failure was necessary, not optional, not avoidable, but an essential rite of passage, you'd treat every rejection, every flop, every awkward attempt not as evidence of inadequacy, but as progress. You'd see the no's as stepping stones, the embarrassment as refinement, the silence as strength training. And yet how many brilliant, capable, soulful people will die with their dreams still locked inside them? Not because they lacked talent, but because they waited and waited and waited. Pascal once wrote, "The eternal silence of these infinite spaces terrifies me. But for many, it's not the silence of space. It's the silence of their own unlived life that haunts them." Let's imagine another life, a safe one where you never really risk anything, where you don't chase the dream, but settle for the comfort, where you don't leap but walk the well-lit path paved by other people's expectations. You get the job, you check the boxes, you're praised for being reliable, normal, stable, but something inside you slowly dies. You feel it, not loudly, not all at once, but like a quiet erosion of your soul. The days start blending together. The smile you wear begins to feel rehearsed. You laugh, but your eyes don't join in. You succeed on paper, but feel empty in private, because deep down you know, you traded your dream for safety. And here's the irony. Even safety comes with pain. Even doing nothing comes at a cost. And the longer you avoid failure, the more you guarantee regret. As Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." So when people say they're afraid of failing, I ask them, have you calculated the price of not failing fast enough? What if you changed the game? What if, instead of avoiding failure, you pursued it? What if you said, I'm going to collect my 30 failures like badges, like sacred bruises on the way to becoming unstoppable? What if every rejection was not a denial, but a direction? Every loss not an ending, but a cleansing? Imagine waking up and asking, how can I risk something today? Where can I put my ego on the line? Where can I get one step closer to my 30? Suddenly, you stop taking things personally. You start moving faster. You build momentum. You realize that most of the things you feared were never real to begin with. They were shadows cast by a mind that had forgotten how capable you truly are. You stop asking for permission. You stop needing applause. You start living like the clock is ticking because it is. And when that shift happens, when you begin to see failure as an ally instead of a curse, something opens up inside you, a doorway, a strength, a level of self-respect that cannot be handed to you by likes, followers, or money. You earn it in the trenches, by trying, by falling, by standing again, shakier, wiser, and somehow more whole. It's not about the dream car. It's not about the luxury house. It's not even about the applause or validation. It's about who you become in the process. When you chase the dream, you're not chasing the thing. You're chasing the transformation, the version of you that can handle rejection without crumbling, the version that keeps going when no one claps, the version that builds discipline like a monk, courage like a soldier, and resilience like a mountain. The dream life you want, it belongs to someone else, someone you have to become. And that becoming doesn't happen in a comfort zone. It happens in the fire, in the late nights, the failures, the awkward first tries, the uncomfortable truths. Napoleon said, "Victory belongs to the most persevering." And in your case, victory belongs to the version of you who does not retreat after failure number 7 or 12 or 26. Because here's the beautiful paradox. Each failure makes you less afraid of the next. Each attempt thickens your skin and sharpens your soul. And then one day you'll wake up and realize you are no longer the one who fears failure. You are the one who eats failure for breakfast. Imagine 30 locked doors. Each one leads to the next. And on the final one, number 30, is your dream life. But the key that opens each door is failure, not success, not luck. Failure. So every time you fail, another door opens. You fall down, door 2, you get ghosted. Door 6, you lose the job. Door 14, you run out of money. Door 21, you want the reward, you want the love, you want the freedom. But are you willing to collect the keys? Because the people you admire, your heroes, your inspirations, your role models, they were never luckier than you. They were never chosen by the universe. They just kept walking, door by door, key by key. So I'll ask you again, maybe for the last time, if you were 30 failures away from your dream life, how fast would you want to fail? Would you keep hesitating? Would you keep polishing a plan you're too scared to start? Would you keep scrolling while the doors remain locked? Or would you move now? Would you take the risk, make the call, send the pitch, write the words, launch the thing, knowing it might fail, but also knowing that failure is the point? Because this is your life, not your rehearsal, not your test run, your life. And it's not waiting for you to be perfect. It's waiting for you to move. So stop hiding, stop apologizing, and start failing gloriously, repeatedly, fearlessly. Because your dream life isn't just on the other side of failure, it's built by it. There is a lie so seductive, so persistent, so universal, that even the wisest fall for it from time to time. It is the lie that says, there is an easier way. You hear it in the ads. You see it in the polished lives of influencers. You feel it in the envy that whispers when someone makes it look effortless. It says, you shouldn't have to struggle. You're doing it wrong if it's painful. If it was meant to be, it would flow. But that is not the voice of truth. That is the voice of avoidance, of short-term comfort masquerading as wisdom. Seneca knew this well. He wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." But in a world addicted to ease, that kind of strength is rare, because we've been taught to worship comfort, and anything that stretches us, we label as toxic, unhealthy, or not aligned. But here's what most won't tell you. Sometimes the most aligned thing is also the most painful. Sometimes the path you were born for is the one you avoid the most, not because it's wrong, but because it requires all of you. Your focus, your humility, your sacrifice, your courage. And that terrifies people. So they retreat into alignment when what they really mean is ease. Chasing your dream life will not just cost you energy or time, it will cost you people. It will cost you relationships, comfort zones, and old versions of yourself you once mistook for truth. Because when you decide to walk the uncommon path, to fail with dignity, to rise with discipline, to become someone you've never been, you will disturb those who are still asleep. Friends who once celebrated your wins will start to feel distant. Family may not understand the choices you make. They will say you've changed, and they'll be right. You will have changed. You'll have outgrown the conversations that never go anywhere. You'll feel allergic to gossip, to small talk, to excuses. You'll crave silence, solitude, self-inquiry. Nietzsche said, the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. And your tribe, whether it's your circle or society at large, does not want you to rise, because your rise is a mirror, and mirrors are uncomfortable. But the solitude that comes with growth is not loneliness. It is refinement. It is the necessary silence that prepares you for greatness. You're not losing people. You're shedding what was never truly meant for the person you're becoming. And then, one day, after the long nights and the heavy failures, after the silence and the sweat and the self-doubt, it happens. Maybe not with fireworks, maybe not with applause, but quietly, undeniably. You step into something that once felt impossible. The business works, the words flow, the door opens, the message hits, and you realize you are living the dream life that once lived only in your mind. Not because the world handed it to you, but because you walked through the fire, because you collected your failures like sacred scars, because you said yes to life even when life kept saying no. And when that moment comes, when the results finally catch up with your effort, you don't feel like a genius. You don't feel lucky. You feel honest. You feel like someone who has earned every inch of this moment. And no one can take it from you, because it wasn't given. It was forged. Let me leave you with this. Failure is inevitable, but there is only one failure that truly matters. And it's not the product that flopped. It's not the job you lost. It's not the rejection, the ghosting, the no. The only real failure is never showing up. The only tragedy is dying with your music still in you. Living a life of quiet desperation because fear wore the mask of logic. Because you convinced yourself to wait just a little longer. So forget the metrics. Forget the timelines. Forget what they think. Ask yourself this. If my dream life is 30 failures away, why am I still afraid to begin? There is no permission slip coming, no savior, no perfect plan. Just this moment, just this one life. You can spend it avoiding pain, or you can spend it building something that makes pain worth it. You can keep rearranging your fears like furniture in a burning house, or you can walk through the flames, knowing you were made for more. You were never meant to stay safe. You were meant to move mountains. So don't just dream. Begin. Fail. Rise. Repeat. And whatever you do, fail faster.